It's time now for your weekly fishing reports and real-time outdoor news. This is the Southwest Outdoors Report.
Hi everybody, welcome to the show. Recently we've been getting a lot of emails and a lot of Facebook posts of people who do not own a boat who are asking us to go out and give them some information on how to find and catch fish from the shore. And the great news is in the next half hour right here on the show, that's exactly what we're going to do. And while we're doing that, we're going to take you around the region for your very latest fishing reports, including all the reports from Louisiana, Oklahoma, Texas freshwater, and all along the Texas and Louisiana Gulf Coast with your saltwater fishing reports. So we're going to take the Bass Tracker Pro 170 out and do some scouting while I get it launched. We take you back to the FSN studios and Julie gets us started with your weekend planner.
The fishing tables are indicating fair conditions at the lake on both days this weekend. The best times for Saturday will start at 8:32 in the morning and Sunday's peak should begin around 9:15 a.m. And both days look to have good activity a little bit after the sun goes down. Look for the sun to rise at 6:43 and set at 8:24. And evenings will have very little moonlight, with the crescent moon only 9% visible. Stay with us, we're coming right back with fishing updates from around the area. Plus, I'll return with the Whataburger Ask the Pro. First though, here are some more entries from our Costa Catch of the Week contest. These photos didn't win, but are certainly still worth sharing.
Before we actually head out to do some fishing, I want to mention something. A lot of folks believe that they cannot afford a boat. But what I'm here to tell you is you might possibly be able to. I am absolutely in love with my Bass Tracker Pro 170 fully rigged fishing boat. It comes with a 40 horsepower, 4-stroke Mercury outboard engine, the best 4-stroke ever made. It's rigged out with a trolling motor, fish finder, fully rigged console with instruments, steering wheel, upholstered seats, fishing decks, carpeted throughout, live well, rod storage, everything you could possibly need in a fishing rig. You can get in this rig if you have good credit for as low as $147 a month. Or there are other Bass Tracker models you can get in as low as $115 a month. So before you believe that you can't afford a boat, check out the full line of Bass Trackers and you just might be surprised. Stay with us. We're going to get out and do some fishing, show you some bank fishing tips right after this.
The Southwest Outdoors Report is brought to you by Costa Sunglasses. See what's out there. By Lubes, setting a new standard in fishing performance. Feel the difference. By Strand Fishing Lines, the standard of dependability. And by Strike King Lures, #1 in fishing.
Good one. All right. Hey, welcome back everybody. We are bank fishing today, as you can see, shore fishing. And I caught me a largemouth bass on a crankbait. That's a Strike King Series 5 crankbait. When you're shore fishing, it's just like real estate. It's location, location, location. You have got to be in the right spot. You've got to be in a place where there are some fish or you're not going to catch any fish. So one of the best places you can go, and by the way, let's go ahead and put this fish back right here. Not hurt at all. I'm fishing rock riprap, and all I'm doing is just walking along the rocks. Why is riprap good? Because it's got a natural slope to it and it normally falls off into fairly deep water. Spring and fall, you can get away with fishing a flat shore that's real shallow because all species of fish will move up shallow in the spring and fall. The rest of the year, you've got to find a location that has some slope and some depth to it. But all I'm doing is taking this Strike King Series 5 crankbait When you're fishing this riprap, don't throw straight out. You want to throw down and at an angle to the riprap. Put your rod tip down and then slowly crawl it in with your rod tip down and let that bait dig down and tick the tops of those rocks. And you want to just, well, I actually got hung up right there, so I'm gonna have to go down there and get that one loose. So there is some brush there, and that can be a good thing as well. You're gonna lose a few baits when you're fishing from the shore, so you just need to know that going in. But it can be very productive. Fish ripraps all around our region. Let's get your fishing report started. Let's go to Brian Hughes and see what's going on in freshwater reports in the state of Texas.
Hi everybody, and welcome to this week's Lone Star Lakes, brought to you by Camo-Ramic. Camo for your truck, not your clothes. Now, it's deep into summertime, and you're going to find that on lakes like Cooper, Ray Hubbard right behind me here, and of course Buchanan, LBJ, you're gonna have a lot of traffic. Now, these lakes are gonna have holiday boaters, skiers, and jet skis, but you'll find sometimes that actually helps the fishing. All of that activity stirs up the water and stirs up oxygen, and it can cause the fish to get stirred up and school on top. Look for your sandies, look for your hybrids and or stripers to school on top for short periods throughout the day. When they do, throw your pop-Rs, throw your clear torpedoes, and throw your feather baits at them to catch them on top. Keep a slab or a spoon handy the rest of the day to reach down in the depths somewhere around 18 to 22 feet and jig them up when they're not schooling. Of course, catfish will be hanging around the deeper 20 to 15 foot brush and timber on these same lakes. That's this week's Lone Star Lakes, brought to you by Camo-Ramic. Now let's check in with Mr. Bill Olson. He's on the coast.
Hi folks, this week's report is brought to you by Port Aransas on Mustang Island, the fishing capital of Texas, where anglers enjoy pristine bays, estuaries, 18 miles of surf, and the deep blue waters of the Gulf of Mexico. Plus, the local restaurants will even cook your catch come sundown. Come fish and play Texas Island style. For more information, visit portaransas.org. Well, southwest winds continue to be a factor on the upper coast earlier this week. Tides were very low, and anglers' best effort came from around deeper channels. On Sabine Lake, the intercoastal waterway was an option. Galveston anglers sought the protection of west shorelines with scattered shell. Now, as winds shift to the south, follow the incoming tide to find fish. Besides being the heat, another reason for anglers to fish early is that winds typically peak during the afternoon. That has been the case out of Matagorda on southward to Port O'Connor. Further south, as the Texas coastline starts to make a bend, angler fishing shallow shell in San Antonio Bay have had best results fishing live shrimp or voodoo shrimp under a popping cork. The south side of the bay has been best. Speckled trout out of Port Aransas are slicking as they feed. Good areas have been around the boat hole and behind Mustang Island from the intercoastal waterway all the way to the shoreline. Redfish have been good in potholes inside of Dagger Island. South of the JFK Causeway, good trout have come from both stained and clean water south of Pure Oil Channel. Redfish have been working windward shorelines. Now from Port Mansfield southward to Port Isabel, anglers have been wading deeper bars or drifting deeper grass channels and guts. This weekend, Saturday has a single tide schedule of 1 high and 1 low tide. This Sunday is a double tide schedule of 2 high and 2 low. I'm Bill Olson, and I'll see you on the coast.
Oh, don't be in that brush. Swim out. Hey everybody, welcome back. Well, I was going to talk to you about the next great place to do some shore fishing, and that is under a bridge. As a matter of fact, just pulled under a big long bridge with a bunch of bridge pilings. You can look up right here and see where we're located. There, I got him loose. He finally swam out. And it's a bass. Ah, there we go. All right, well, it's another fish anyway. I tell you, most of the time, when you're fishing under these bridges, you can reach the first set of bridge pilings, and that's where the fish are going to be hanging. They get under these bridges for 2 reasons. Number 1, shade. they'll congregate under the shade of any of these bridges. And the second thing is the bridge piers or pilings provide cover. And so what I like to do is use a little spinning rod and reel and that's a little Bobby Garland crappie bait, I'll show it to you, and make long cast out there at each pier. Let it go down about halfway and then slow swim it back. Now what you can't do here is you can't let it go all the way to the bottom because it will get snagged most every cast if there's any kind of brush or rocks or whatever out there. So you can catch white bass, obviously you can catch largemouths, hybrid stripers, lots of fish congregate under a bridge. All right, let's go to Oklahoma. Check in with Gary Dollahan with your fishing reports from there this week.
Hey, we're coming out of an absolutely amazing week of weather. Starting to warm back up now, but you know what? This is one of the finest fishing summers we've had in this state in the past 2 to 3 years. You need to take advantage of it. First of all, lake conditions across the state, especially the eastern half, are either at or slightly above normal lake levels. Water temperatures in the mid to upper 80 degrees, so conditions are perfect. Let me give you an example from an outing on Keystone this week that I think you can duplicate really at many of the larger reservoirs all across the state. First of all, we're throwing the biffle bug up against the bank for bass, targeting the rocky areas, especially the ones that had some big boulders that would produce some shade, and then also the ones closest to the points. We're throwing that bait right against the bank, into the shade, fishing it back out off the first break line, 4 to 6 foot of water, caught fish anywhere along that range, and also caught some nice catfish in there with them as well on that same biffle bug. A medium running crankbait, a great choice right now. A good one is the Norman's Lillian because it runs that same targeted depth, 5 to 7 feet deep. Throw it right up against the bank, retrieve it back out so it comes across that break line. You're going to catch bass doing that. You can also use that bait if you get into a school of white bass or you got white bass roaming those banks. A lot of shad activity, a lot of little bait activity along the banks at that depth at this time. As far as crappie, it seems like most of those are suspended 12 to 15 feet deep regardless of the depth of water that you're in. So you have a standing timber or you find a brush pile 20 to 25 feet, drop that bait down the first 12 to 15 feet on it. A good choice for that is the Bobby Garland 2-inch baby shad because that's perfectly imitating one of the most abundant sizes of shad that I'm seeing in our lakes right now across the state. Summertime and fishing in Oklahoma, man, you can't beat it this year. One thing about it, you can't catch them if you don't go.
The Southwest Outdoors Report is brought to you by Exide AGM Marine Batteries. Starts like new, stays like new longer. By Gene LaRue and Bobby Garland Lures. With our baits, a good day of fishing is in the bag. By Motor Guide Trolling Motors, engineered for anglers. By Whataburger, just like you like it. And by Nitro Performance Bass Boats, pure performance.
Got him. Oh, that's a good one. Easy, easy, easy. All right, I got him. Hey, welcome back everybody, your Southwest Outdoors Report. Coming to today talking about how to catch them when you're bank bound. For those of you who don't have a boat right now, we got a white bass going. Okay, well, we're not gonna keep fish today, so I'm gonna pull in here and let this fish go back. It's real shallow right here where we're at, but hopefully he can get his breath. There he goes. There he goes right there. Well, let's talk about the next key. Right here what I've done is I'm walking along clay point that runs way out in the lake. As you can see right here behind me, it runs out here and makes a really sharp point. On this side of the point and on the other side, it falls off very sharply. You can catch stripers, crappie, catfish, everything will gang up off the end of a point. It is just such a natural gathering point, a migration route, and a feeding point for all species of fish. So, whatever lake you like to fish, whatever river, whatever body of water it is, find those points that run out and drop off into deep water. You're gonna have a lot better chance of success. I'm throwing a spoon right here, and all I'm doing is just taking that spoon, throwing it out there in that fairly deep water. It's pretty calm, pretty bald around here, nothing really to get hung up on, so I'm letting it actually go down to the bottom, and then I'm hopping that spoon up and down off the bottom. Okay, we got something going out here, catching them off the shore today. Let's move along and check in with Cajun Phil and Kevin over in Louisiana.
Hey friends, Captain Kevin Broussard here with your Fox Sports Louisiana Outdoor Report, talking saltwater fishing right now. I tell you what, we're in full summertime swing. We caught these on live finger mullet and live croaker. We were fishing pretty deep water, just basically split shotting them, free lining them. If the wind dies down, the surf at the beach is excellent. Soft plastic saltwater assassins, live shrimp under a popping cork, Gulf jetties is on fire. In the lake, your deeper oyster reefs. In the channel, on your drop-offs. Tell you what, the water's hot, early and late your best fishing, and I tell you what, fish a little bit deeper. Right now, we're gonna turn it over to Cage and Phil. We're gonna see what he's got to say for some bass fishing action in Louisiana lakes.
Thanks, Captain Kevin. I tell you what, friends, as far as the freshwater fishing goes, let's talk about Toledo Bend right now, because I check my emails each and every week, and more people are asking about Toledo Bend. Keep in mind, with as hot as it is right now, we had a pretty good sized moon. Fishing at night should not be out of the picture. A lot of big bass coming at night. Talked to Charlie McGee. He had a tournament up there. They had like 17 pounds on a couple of fish. They were really nice big fish. He said, but late in the afternoon and early in the morning, they're throwing spinner baits and buzz baits right next to the grass. At night, they're moving up on them humps and ridges. Remember, once you find a spot that these bass move up and on, you better sit right there and just wait for them, because they come 2 or 3 times a night feeding on them brim. You want to be ready when they do make that move. Toledo Bend, pretty good fishing right now. Once you get out there and give it a try.
Before we head to our next break, let me quickly mention one more place that's really good for catching several species of fish at lakes all around our region. Public docks and piers can be fantastic depending on how deep the water is around them. Now, because of the drought in the southwest region, many of our lakes are way down, and as you can see, this dock is in very shallow water. However, gives you lots more coverage, gives you some height, lets you cast to a lot more water than you could ever fish if you were simply standing on the shore. And one other thing, don't forget to fish the individual legs, the individual piers and pilings that go down underneath the dock. Many times crappie, bass, catfish, they'll all hang around those legs and piers. Docks, one more key place you can catch them if you don't have a boat.
The Southwest Outdoors Report is brought to you by Mercury, the official outboard of the Southwest Outdoors Report for 11 years running, by Academy, right stuff, low price, every day, and by Tracker Boats, fish the finest.
Welcome back, everyone. It's time for one of your questions to be answered by a fishing professional on the Whataburger Ask the Pro. This week, Ray in Belton, Texas asks, what lures do you prefer for night fishing? For the answer, we checked with professional angler Russ Clark.
Summertime on any lake, East Texas, particularly where I'm from, you're going to throw a darker color, larger profile bait. You want something that's ribbed that can move the water. The more ribs, the more waves on your plastic baits, your sweet beavers, your little ribs on your gambler toads. Those fish move water, or those baits rather, move water. And as water moves, it moves down the lateral line of the fish, and it helps them detect that bait that much quicker and that much faster, and as slow as you possibly can. Stay with a darker color, stay with your natural colors.
Thank you, Russ. If you would like one of our anglers to answer your question, just visit southwestoutdoorsreport.com, click on the Ask the Pro link, and send us your information. Now let's see who wins a pair of brand new Costa sunglasses on the Costa Catch of the Week.
This week's winner in the Costa Catch of the Week contest is Ben Shipman of Midlothian, Texas, and he's showing off a 51-pound blue catfish caught out of Lake Tawakoni. It's his personal best catfish, and get this, he caught it in only 3 feet of water. And if you'd like to enter the contest and have a chance to win your very own Costas, simply go to our website at southwestoutdoorsreport.com. On the right-hand side of the screen is the Costa Catch of the Week area. Click there, follow the instructions, and you could win Costa sunglasses. And if you want to see all the Costas, again, go to our website, click on the Costa logo, which is in the middle left of the page under the video frame. That'll take you to the Costa website. You can see all the frame and lens styles, including this month's frame style of the month, the camo colored double haul frames that I was wearing on this week's show. Next up on the Academy Sports and Outdoors Right Stuff feature, I want to talk to you about the gear you'll need if you're going to be fishing off the bank. Now, I like to go with heavier tackle for bank fishing than I use in the boat. Why? Because you need to be able to pull those lures loose when they become snagged, and invariably you will get snagged fishing from the shore. So I like to use a spinning rod, a big spinning reel, and you want to be able to make long casts. So to do that, I like to use braided line, and this is Stren Sonic Braid. It's got glide coat technology. It's a slick surface on the outside of this line. Slides through the eyes of the rod a lot smoother, and you can make much longer casts. I would go with 20 or 30 pound test Stren Sonic Braid on your spinning reel. Then for a bait cast rig, I like to go with a fairly heavy rod. This is a Lew's Tournament SL red rod, medium heavy action with a Lew's Speed Spool bait cast reel, the BB1, which is the longest casting reel I've ever used. And again, I would use a little heavier line, so I would go with Stren Original 20 pound test. And finally, as far as baits go, I would use fairly snagless type baits. Big crankbait with a big bill that'll deflect off most of the cover, a spinner bait, a top water. For white bass, I would use a spoon, but I wouldn't let it go all the way to the bottom most of the time. I would keep it coming towards you. Then for crappie, I would use that little Bobby Garland soft plastic crappie bait. It's all about not getting snagged and not losing a lot of baits when you're fishing from the bank. This week on Stuff That Matters, I just want to read you a little excerpt from an article I found in one of our local newspapers in our Southwest region. It reads like this: "It is far easier to be a family by default. Families that evolve by default require a lot less work and thought. The adults do their thing, the kids do their thing, and they meet over takeout or fast food a couple of nights a week and wonder why nobody seems to connect. When you create a family by design, you make the choices instead of letting others make the choices for you. You decide. You decide to introduce children to great works of art, to allow them to paint, make music, make a mess, play uninterrupted, putter alongside you in the kitchen, in the garden, in the workshop, in the garage, in your boat, on the bank, discovering how tools work and how rods and reels work and how pieces fit together. That sort of family is sometimes out of step with culture. It's a family that moves slowly, ambles off the beaten path, and goes against the grain. That sort of family life takes thinking ahead, creating opportunities, checking benchmarks, and being deliberate about choices. There's little middle ground when it comes to family. It really is family by default or family by design. Which do you choose?" We'll see you next Thursday night at 10:30, Saturday morning at 8 o'clock on Fox Sports Southwest, and you can always catch us Wednesday mornings on Fox Sports South in the southeastern part of the country as well. You can always catch the latest episode of our show on the front page of our website. You can click on the Facebook page and get lots of video and photos and the latest fishing news that we don't have time for here on the television show. And you can catch up on all of our past episodes and a lot of how-to videos as well on our YouTube channel. Again, go to our website and click on the YouTube logo toward the bottom left of the front page. Thanks for joining us. See you next week. Until then, I'm Barry Stokes. Be safe. Have fun. Bye-bye, guys.